Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Living Theosophy here on the Living Theosophy channel. Tonight, we have an amazing show for you, and Lyndon S. Smith will be taking the helm. Remember, we will be live with you in the chat. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat or leave a comment. You are so welcome here. So ladies and gentlemen, take it away, Lyndon and Jill.
Thank you, Anne, for the introduction. So on behalf of Living Theosophy and UND, I welcome our esteemed guest tonight, Jill Sudbury, and I ask you all to click like and subscribe down below. We will also post a link to Jill's website. So by way of a short introduction, we've got our lovely Jill here. Jill is a therapist at the Marlborough School of Reiki, and she is the creator of the Fyfield Therapy Rooms at Goddess HQ and Wellbeing Clinic. Jill is a holistic therapist with 40 plus years of experience and having trained in ophthalmic, general and psychiatric nursing, so with an extensive background. Jill's main driver is to set up both the National Health Centre and the Wellbeing Clinic in Marlborough, which is in Wiltshire, just down the road from us, from myself in the southwest of the UK. And after paving the way for other therapists, she's now setting up, or has rather set up, the Fyfield Therapy Rooms just a few miles outside Marlborough. Jill has trained in many areas and uses a combination of really interesting healing modalities. She gently works on a person, but she also offers choices to the individual. An example would be seeing a client with anxiety issues, requirement for counselling, or seeing them for Reiki, which is the subject of tonight's talk with Jill. Jill has successfully set up the Reiki school, and she offers quite a few services from the therapy rooms as follows: Reiki, teacher training, and Karuna Reiki, which we'll ask about, and Karuna, yeah, hypnotherapy, rejuvenance, reflexology, NLP, and also Indian head massage. So I'll now hand over to our esteemed Jill to just do a short introduction, because it's lovely to have you here, Jill and Anne. It really is. And I have had a little bit of experience with Reiki, and I know it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So yes, welcome. Please tell us more. We want to know more.
Thank you. I love being esteemed. I think esteemed is a wonderful word to use. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to hear what you're saying. I've been in the therapy field for many years, having started in the NHS with my spiritual journey and various, I was a spiritual journeyer, and was working alongside that in the NHS as a nurse in many ways. So, and set up the natural health centres and wellbeing clinics. But I did it all by default, really. It just happened, it was something I needed to do. So when you introduced me in that lovely way, I've had many, many years of bringing therapies together. And actually, at the end of the day, it's all about love and connection and holding someone in a space to help them to heal, because nobody heals. We can't heal anyone. We help people to heal themselves. And I think I have been in the spiritual world for so many years, and I do recognize that, wow, it's really interesting that at this time now, we have a sort of disconnect between our soul, our spiritual energy. You weren't expecting me to talk in spiritual terms like this, were you? But our soul, our spiritual connection, and our humanity and us and our divine selves. And there is a cutoff. I mean, we're very connected to AI, artificial intelligence. Now you ring someone up, it's a machine that answers you, and the frustration of us older, more mature, wise people, when we can't actually get anyone to talk to us about a parking fine or anything that, worries us. And there's nothing we can do. We feel a bit powerless. My connection with spirit, with source, if we're connected to source, to the divine one, the source of all there is, we have a direct line to energy, to life, to empowerment. And my job on this earth is to make you fabulous, darling. You know, it's not me. I'm a bit gok-wan-ish, but it's not me that I just want people to be aware of who they are. And we are all amazing beings of light. We have everything we need within us. And my job as a healer, as a therapist, as whatever I am, is to actually help people to recognize that they have everything they need within them, inside them. I've obviously looked at every aspect of healing, of energy. Oh God, the things I've done have been quite interesting. But I feel that we need to connect with who we are. We need to get in touch with every part of us, even the dark parts, you know, the parts of us we don't like, and we need to embrace them. You know, we're so perfect these days, aren't we? We have to be perfect. We have to be absolutely tick every box, you know.
So this idea of we're all a collection of the good and the bad, or to use Jill's parlance there, the light and the dark, or all these bad parts. Anne, what do you think of that? That's a really good explanation, isn't it?
I think it's amazing. I love that she's weaving in the spirituality with helping people to be able to find their source. I thought that was a fantastic thing, talking about once they find themselves, because I think a lot of people go to healers and they think that they're going to do the healing for them.
That was wonderful to say, Jill, that you're actually just the conduit, if you will, the purveyor, that which countenances this divine light which you spoke about. So tell us a bit more about how you came to discover this innate spirituality within, because it comes across to me very much that it's shadowed you in the early days, but it's sort of like compelled you forward. It's what's impelled you forward, isn't it?
I think I've always been a fae child person. I was born questing the meaning of life. And I was actually one of those annoying children who played the guitar in church. Come and join us, come and join, you know. And I did all of that, and I wanted to save the world. And I had little fates. My parents were like, oh my goodness, what's she doing now? You know, et cetera, et cetera. And when I came to be confirmed, you're like this, I went to the confirmation classes at church. I was 13 and I was quite good looking, you know, with the long hair and all this stuff. And they said, you have to give your heart to Jesus. And I went, okay. You have to live your whole life through Jesus Christ, our Lord. And I thought, oh my God, I can't do that. And I left and I discovered nightclubs and people, and I lived my life, but I still had, and I really enjoyed that. I became me, you know, and I thought, well, okay, that's fair enough, but I can't give my heart to Jesus in that way and live every minute, you know, in the way they want me to. So it was my first layer of not being controlled by a religion or something people told me what to do. But I was always questioning. I went to every religion to find peace and truth. I left home very early. I worked in Bristol in nursing, but I always wanted to care for people. And I think kindness is something that I've always held with me. People have stopped being kind, stopped being kind in the nursing profession. And the nurses used to love people, care for them, and that's what got them well. And I realized that people weren't doing things in the way that I thought, like they take children away from their parents to go to operating theatre and they'd be screaming. And I think, no, can't they go with them? You know, and I've always had a feeling of that this isn't right, you know, whatever. But I enjoyed my life, and I realized that in humanity, we could go. I've worked with Celtic shaman. I've worked with all sorts of people to help find myself. But my truth came when in my 20s when I became involved in a spiritual group who channeled. They channeled information in a place called Dawlish in Devon, and I was looking for the truth. And all I heard was my mother had sent me a tape, and someone was talking about truth, love, peace, tolerance, understanding. I thought, there you have it. There's no control. You don't have to go through a priest or anyone to get to where you need to be. And I started I learnt spiritual healing from a channeled medium in a group. But I was still a nurse, and I was working in psychiatry then. And the days gone by when people were hallucinating or crazy or psychotic, you had to go along with it. I didn't. I used to sit and listen to them and say, "What are you seeing? What's going on? Oh, goodness me, that's interesting." And I found there was a very fine line between clairvoyance, spiritual awakening, and madness. And I was very fascinated with the mind and how we grew in that way. So I was able to live a life of pure respectable, because I was a ward sister, but in psychiatry, actually I did my nurse training in London, but in psychiatry, I found my home. And the minute I walked in the psychiatric hospital, I thought, I'm home, this is great. People are listening, people are aware and open. And I loved that aspect of life. So I was still very, I was very an esteemed person. I trained in all the top places. But I was very much listening to people and understanding it. I learned a lot from people. I've learned from everywhere I've been. And I learned therapy back in the day.
That's a lovely story, because it shows your sort of graduation's an odd word to use, but I don't really know.
Oh yes,
sort of a steady progression. I mean, and obviously not to criticise our wonderful NHS in any way, as we're all very deeply respectful of the NHS and what they do. So I would like to just pick up on a point which you said that Anne might come in here as well, because it's when you said that you'd looked at other traditions or other faiths, or however we want to put that. What was the commonality that you saw between them all, Jill? What was the threads that bring them together? Because Theosophy really looks at those threads.
The threads that brought all the other aspects together. I mean, it's about source, it's about love, it's about light, understanding, but there was a lot of control. I find people are very much wanting to be led, wanting to be told, wanting to be told what to do. And I think with me, I was talking to someone about it today, that I've been on the edge, the edge of reason. It's a bit like Bridget Jones. I describe myself as a cross between Mother Teresa and Bridget Jones in a way. But I think on the edge would be that I've always been in a place of a pioneership. I was trained at the Royal Free Hospital, and it was a very good teaching hospital in London. And I remember when I said I was going to work in psychiatry, my tutor said, "It's beneath you, nurse. You're a Royal Free nurse. You don't want to do that. It's not good." Yeah. And we don't remember that if you actually worked with psychiatric patients, people who were mentally ill, it was wrong. It wasn't right. Nowadays, we all look at mental health and it's all very trendy and very cool. But back in the day, I understood that our emotional well-being and mental health was crucial to our healing. Yeah, I did understand that then, but we were against it. And then actually, when I left nursing, and I set up, I didn't mean to set up natural health clinics. Someone found me, as they do, and said, "Come and join us," sort of thing. And then back 22, 23, 24 years ago, when I did that, that was deemed as being not the right thing to do, because we were complementary therapists. Yeah. And the nutrition, the work we did was incredible. We were healing people, we were helping people, they were recovering, but we weren't allowed to do that because the pharmaceutical industry, with the drugs and the way that we had to sort of, I took loads of people off Valium. They were all given Valium, which is a great drug, best thing anyone ever invented, but they shouldn't be taking it all the time, etc. And I think because of my foot in the medical profession and my spiritual world, it was very good because I was credible.
Yes.
I've always tried to maintain a step in this world and a step in the spiritual world. It's really hard to get that balance. You're either sitting on a mountain meditating and being hippy-dippy, or you're the other side of reality. And of course, I was a corporate wife. I used to wear Chanel. I was quite well off, but I was still me. And I used to talk to a lot of people about spiritual matters, wherever I was in LA or anywhere. I'd sort of, people would actually say to me, what's your take on the meaning of life? And I think, oh, how interesting, and I was very lucky. I've been very lucky that everything I have done has brought me to where I need to be.
It just sounds like such a varied patchwork and such a rounded person. You are a rounded person from your professional. It's like you don't often get to speak with people who have got the professional footing that you've got. You've obviously got the experience, and that's why we were drawn to speak with you. I'm going to ask Anne to step in if she wants to ask a question, but I'm dying because we're going to go on to ask about Reiki.
Absolutely. That's my passion.
Ask you about shamanism, but I also want to bring Anne in as well. So have you got any points you want to ask? Because it's so interesting. You're just so interesting, Jill.
There's so much here. Thank you, Lyndon, for asking. But Jill, I've got to tell you, I just thank you so much for all that you are and do. What you said when you went to the psychiatric ward and they brought in the schizophrenia and those who had the multiple personalities or whatever, but you looked at that and understood that there's more to the story, and you understood. Yes, that is something that I find if we would only take psychology and weave it in with past lives or the astral or beyond. I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you. That is essential work for the future. That is so imperative. Like if we look at things like everything from Siamese twins to, anybody, the imaginary friends for children, all of this, there's something far more than what modern day science does. And you're the first person I've ever really heard of, other than our very own Charlie Bannon, who talks about this. But the way that you were there in the ward and you asked them to explain more of what they see rather than just condemn it or medicate it is absolutely extraordinary. Thank you very, very much.
It was the right thing to do. Things are the right thing to do, aren't they?
I hope that there's more. I hope there's more in the future for this, because especially when they talk about multiple personalities or hearing voice, things like that.
I've worked with people in that area. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
I had to write them all down because I couldn't remember who was who. I actually think humor is very good, because there's nothing that suggests at all that anything spiritual is not filled with joy or humor. People have to be so serious about everything they do. And we need to lighten up and be filled with joy and to take the mick and to go, oh, really? Yes. And I gather people around me. I've got the most amazing young people people are drawn to me. I've got a bit of a run on young people at the moment, who are questing and looking. People only come to me because they need something, and they're fabulous. They are absolutely amazing, the young people of this time. And they're much more than I would ever have been, but my job is just to guide them and hold them and to help them be themselves. And I'm very lucky because I've got loads of young people around me, and I'm just, couldn't be better than that, could it? No. Beautiful young beings of light who are all around, it's lovely. It's nice.
I do like your comment about the joy and the not silliness for its own sake, but just to have a laugh. I mean, these are heavy subjects, and life is heavy. We're all dealing with heavy things. And I like the fact that when you said before, it was like, I think I could refer to it as your breakaway time when you were confirmed and then you went to the nightclubs. And, this is very rounded. This is life. You can't turn your back on life in all its guises. And to be so rounded and so balanced with us this evening is wonderful, Jill. Could you tell us a bit about shamanism? Just what your experience was.
I don't know a lot about shamanism, except for I've been with an American Indian shaman, a Celtic shaman. I always attract shaman, who come and I have to do stuff. I've been in crop circles, and in the crop circles in Wiltshire with Bear Cloudberry and loads of people all doing Cossack dancing and everything. It's been lovely. I've been in teepees, I've done drumming. I am not a shaman and I have not been trained, but saying that, one of my Reiki teachers was a medicine man shaman and kept going, ho, okay, we can do this, whatever. So I'm totally accepting of a shaman, a medicine person. I mean, shaman are amazing. The Toltec shaman in South America. I mean, woo! When I was at the clinic, we invited a lot of people to come to the clinic. So I am very fortunate to have met a lot of really interesting people. You know, and we had one American Toltec shaman who was incredible, you know, and he couldn't even speak English. I mean, coming up Marlborough High Street was quite something.
Yeah.
He was really out of place. Very exotic for Marlborough, darling, but, you know, but I've met all of them, and I've come to the conclusion in our spiritual journey that everything is simple. The simple truths are the hardest for people to understand and to be with. I have trained psychiatrists. I've doctors, all sorts of people, and I had a psychiatrist as a client, and I used to say to people, "I'm seeing my psychiatrist today." Whatever. And she was great, you know. She's taken a lot of the spiritual energy on, and she's obviously taking it into her work, which I'm very grateful for. But it's just looking outside the box, isn't it, really? Don't you think this is what you do as a society, look outside the box?
Well, we look at the commonalities, the threads which unite, and Theosophy is only a term. I mean, it's not, it's a nothing. I mean, it's not you can't go anywhere to do or be a Theosophist. As much as the wind rustles through the trees, it's just this ancient wisdom in all its guises, in all its manifestations, as it's been passed through to the shamans, the Toltecs, the Christians, the Buddhists, and also the secular. You know, we've all got some of this, and that's what I like about you, Jill. Is just very balanced view on it. So let's move on to Reiki. Tell us more.
Reiki. That thing,
yeah. Tell us more.
Reiki means Ray, universal key, life force energy. And I was a spiritual healer, and somebody invited me on a Reiki course, and I said, what on earth do I want to do that for? I'm already a spiritual healer, you know, I can do this. And I went on this course with loads of hippies, and I'm a bit of a hippie. They used to call me the hippie with rings because I was a very sort of elegant hippie, whatever. And I went to this place in Stroud, and the guy was talking about consciousness and awareness. I got everything he was talking about, but I was with a lot of people from the Prospect Hospice who were volunteers who had no idea what he was talking about. And I thought, oh, this is lovely. I've learnt Reiki, and I didn't do anything with it. And the person I went with happened to be Francine Blake, who was the head of the Crop Circle Alliance. She was great. But someone I learned with said, Jill, let's practice this Reiki. And I went, oh, okay. So I brought the Reiki through, went like this. I thought, whoa, what is that? And I could actually feel it. Now, Reiki, what sold me with Reiki is when you're a spiritual healer, you give everything to everyone, all of yourself, all of your energy. Reiki is about connecting to the source. The energy comes through you. It's not from you. You are connecting through it. And the whole idea about Reiki is that if you are feeling good about yourself, if you are strong within yourself, you can obviously transmute the negative energy and send it out as light. And I got it. I thought, why am I giving all of myself, sacrificing myself? A lot of spiritual healers I know have become ill or had fibromyalgia because they're not strong enough in their body to give that spiritual energy. What Reiki does, it connects you to the source. It helps you connect with your inner core of energy, which is key energy, and it helps you to share that. So a Reiki person would shine. You could actually be in a cafe or Costa or somewhere. You could be sitting next to someone and you could think, I like that energy. That feels, I feel good to be around that person. That's what Reiki is. Reiki helps you shine and be who you are. And you're allowed to look after yourself. You're allowed to be strong, joyful, happy. You're allowed to do this. Whereas years and years ago, in the old days, you had to sacrifice yourself for the good of all. No. Being the best version of who you are will help so many people. And it reminds me of back in the day, you've probably looked at this, the Essenes, the time of Christ, with the women who used to live in communes. They always had a male with them as well, women. They trained in the Temple of Isis to be healers, to do meditation. They were amazing women. The first thing they learnt was to how to transmute negative energy and send it out as light. So one of the problems we have, and I find it with the mentally ill are very sensitive, so they take on all the negative energy and they go out of their bodies because it's not very nice to be in them when you're feeling rubbish. It's why drug addicts take drugs, not to feel better, but to not be here. Thank you very much. So the Essenes would transmute this negative energy and they would send it out as light. That's what Reiki does.
That's an excellent. I mean, you spoke there for 4 minutes as one. That's probably about the best summation, if you will, or précis of Reiki. And have you ever had Reiki or experienced?
I have never had Reiki, no, but I was wondering if folks are watching and you're listening to Jill and Lyndon talk about this. Jill, talking about tapping into source, bringing it through and bringing it and removing the negativity, perhaps there might be something that those who are out there right now, as they come across this episode, is there anything you could share with us that we might be able to, I know it's video, I know it's Zoom, be able to tap into our own, like what you might give as homework for somebody who is studying Reiki that wasn't in the room with you?
Yeah, I can do that. But I mean, I need to say that when you give Reiki, when someone has a Reiki, they lay on a couch for an hour. The Reiki healer, they keep their clothes on, by the way. I've had many people who've taken their clothes off and I said, no, put them on. We're doing Reiki. And they lie on a couch normally. Oh God, I've had some experiences, Lyndon, I tell you. And you bring the Reiki through and you put your hands on someone or off them and they feel a heat or a tingling or nothing at all, and when you put your hands, and I have brought Reiki through for all sorts of people. And I thought, oh gosh, is this working? What's going on? And the thing they normally say after the hour, and the energy goes through into the cellular level, lifts everything up, a bit like Prozac, lifts everything up, helps them to heal themselves, basically. The comments I've had after have been, one, somebody said, do you accept marriage proposals? And I said, well, whatever. Another person said, that was beautifully strange. Another person said, that was better than drugs, man. And I thought, oh, that's good, Another person said, it feels as though I've had all the love I didn't have as a child, Yeah, whatever. So what it is, you're bringing through unconditional love, and your ego, you haven't got an ego, you're bringing this energy through, and that people get whatever they need, and they tend to see colors or feel things or heal or connect to whatever. And it's non-religious, you see, Reiki. So if you're religious, God, have I healed through Jesus Christ our Lord so many times, because I've had born again Christians who tell me I'm channeling the devil. And I think, well, why do you want to see me if I'm doing Reiki? And they tell me about their vicar and this and that. And I say, okay, let's bring the energy through Jesus Christ our Lord.
Yes,
and I do that because that's fine with me, or anyone really. But what I'm doing is bringing the essence, the core, the root of the energy through. We have a core energy, right, with our hara, by our tummy button, by our navel, right? So if people who are wanting to connect, if they are aware of a light, which is the very core, the very center of their being, and they focus on expanding and contracting this light, and they can feel it, sense it, know it's there, see it, whatever, but know that this light is expanding and contracting with every breath, so that they're breathing into themselves. Our energy, we're all over ourselves. We're all over the place.
Yeah.
And so we need to bring that all over the place back to this core, this center of who we are, to strengthen us, to calm us, to remember who we are. If they then connect to the source of all there is, all love, magic, enchantment, peace, balance, wisdom, not whatever. And if you actually imagine a wonderful, wonderful energy, magnificent light coming down, and it's down through your mind into your body, cleansing, healing, integrating all parts of you to join and connect with that light that is the very core, the very center of your being. Connect that light. Just be aware of that, how that feels. Allow this light to go down through the soles of your feet, down to Gaia, Mother Earth, where the roots of the trees and the flowers give us their support, their healing, right the way down to the belly of Mother Earth to feel held. We are children of the soil. We are of the earth.
Yeah.
Bringing that energy and the balance between the source and Mother Earth is probably one of the most important connections and meditations you can have or you can be. And you can do it just like that when you get the hang of it. And that's bringing everything back to you. And we are all aligned. We are all one. If I can share that with someone, I'm sharing it with me. It's a reflection. We are all reflections of each other. So allowing that energy to come down and up is a beautiful thing, I think. And also to have the lightness with it as well. And be
so again, Jill, wonderful. I just like how you articulate things, how it just resonates deeply with what I understand of Theosophy as the ancient wisdom and the different traditions. When we're viewing this light, would it emanate out or would it pulse, or how would somebody who's watching this, who say, for example, is struggling with not depression in that sense, but feeling low or depressed or maybe struggling physically, how would they, just a 2-second soundbite to say how you could practice this and for how long and where?
I'd say every time you wake up in the morning, fill yourself with light. Your smiles. You know, the Bhagwan Rajneesh people in Pune, I've met quite a few of them. They're really cool. You know, at the time, you thought they were all completely mad, but they were wonderful. They used to, they would send smiles to every part of their body, you know, every organ. Just imagine a smile here. You know, we can create our reality. Our thoughts are reality. Our thoughts are real. So it's our thoughts that actually will change our beliefs. We can do anything we want to. If we wish, if we really need to change and shift things, we can do that. Our beliefs are huge. You know, what we've been programmed to believe. So much negative stuff. It's about time we change that now. This is what this is all about now, the Great Awakening, coming to our sovereign beings, ourself. And I actually say, I know this. Everything I do, it might think I'm a bit airy-fairy, but everything I've done has been based on trying it out, experience, being with people, knowing it. I have to try things out. I have to see if it works. I'm not just, let's just do this, you know, although that's not a bad idea. If you do what your intuition is telling you, I think that's great. I think that's a good thing. But I know that people who, I see people for counselling. So I'd see people for counselling. When I couldn't resist it, I'd give them some Reiki, you know, whatever. Then I teach them Reiki, so they'll come on a Reiki course. I don't ever see them again. That's terrible because they're okay. They're empowered. My marketing tools are really bad, but saying that, I make lots of friends and people come back to Reiki shares. I support people when I teach Reiki. They come back, we have Reiki shares. We all know each other. We're like a tribe, you know, we call it Reiki family. And I think the sense of community with people that I've taught people Reiki who are really, you'd think were, you know, wouldn't survive this life. They're amazing.
Yeah.
And as therapists, as nurses, when I was a nurse, I used to look at patients and think, oh God, you poor thing. Oh, you're on your way out. Oh my God, how awful. If I look at a client, whether they're cocaine addicted, whatever's going on in their life, because I've had a few of those lately, I don't know why. But if I look at someone and think, oh, you know, what I do is I look at them, I see the essence of them, I see the beauty of them, I see what they're capable of. I can actually see their potential. Imagine if we did that to every person we saw their potential. saw them as they were, as human beings. We're all one, you know. I say to people, we're like shining diamonds when we're born. We have this shiny diamond in us, and as when we're toddlers, we feel this lack, we feel abandoned, we feel fearful, we go through all this stuff, and before we know it, this bright shining diamond gets covered with crap, with rubbish. You get to adolescence and my God, you're done for, you know. Nobody likes you, you've got no friends, you're not good enough, you know, you're not the same as everyone, you're not beautiful enough. And then you go into your relationships and that, you know, people leave you and you think, oh my God, nobody loves me. Then you get sacked from a job or you fail your exams, you know, and this shining diamond gets covered with rubbish. Then you meet someone, and it doesn't have to be a healer or a therapist or a spiritual person. It can be someone that's kind to you or someone you relate to. And it's like they get out a little duster and they shine a little bit of this bright shining diamond. And you get the little light that comes out, you know. And one of the things I say to my Reiki people, who are you? And I say, you're a bright shining diamond filled with love and light. And I remember one girl said to me once, Jill, she phoned me, I get the most amazing text messages. I do this all again for the messages I get from people that are so funny and so wonderful. And she said, Jill, I was in a nightclub in Brighton and I was shining my bright shining diamond. I was on the dance floor going for it and I could feel my bright shining diamond. I mean, what's better than being you?
Yeah.
Being true for you and shining in that way. And that's real, isn't it? Isn't that real?
It is. It is. And I like the comment that you said before, and I know Anne will second me on this, that because Anne and I are very conscious that the young with maybe, I think it's more like the Facebook culture, this fear of missing out, FOMO.
Oh, God, yeah.
They identify so strongly with the physical, the base physical, that which ties us to the earth, the strongest, the physical. And it's lost, this diamond, to use your metaphor. This diamond is not even considered by a whole generation of people who are so frightened. I mean, Anne, we get comments from people who are struggling with image and addiction and problems with social media. You see this as well, don't you?
Yeah, the youth is our future, and the fact that they're being drawn to find out the answers for themselves. And instead of the churches are emptying out, everybody is looking for the answers. We're now connected online all over the world. The answers are out there. I think it's brilliant that you say you're surrounded by the youth.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah. Much hope for the future, because if they once we realize that it's not outside of us, that it's inside of us, and that we all have access to it, that's what we can actually, I think that's what you said with drug addicts. What are we looking for? We're looking to feel nothing at all or leave the body. It's a very painful place to be. The solution is really much closer than our own breath. And if we would only look within. So what you're saying is so brilliant. And there's so much we want to ask you. I don't want to steal any thunder, but I did want to ask, as you shared what it feels like for those who are receiving the process, when you are removing the negativity or when you're working with a negative energy. I am interested into, because you said you've had many experiences, just a couple experiences, is what it feels like for you when you're dealing with whatever this person is coming in with: sadness, loss, health issues. What does it feel like for you as the practitioner?
For me?
Yes.
Whoa, that's an interesting question. It's funny because I see people, and I know it sounds terrible, but the more problems they have, the more that they look at me as if to say, you can't help me. I've been to 10 therapists in the last week and nothing's helped. And I look at them and I think, yes. And I think, oh, lovely. I'm really on there. And I actually say to some people, I'm so excited. Have you got any more problems? Because this is great. Let's go for it. And actually it's about giving. I like to give people permission to be themselves and to be as authentic as they can be, because people will put on a good show. And I seem to be able to get through that good show. So come on, tell it what it is. Wow, how interesting is that? And I think for me, I've been doing this for so long that I don't always I don't take on all their stuff. I've learned. As I see the potential in people, I get quite excited about how things can be. So somebody could come in my therapy room and you think, oh my God, they're going to kill themselves. They're suicidal. This is terrible. Oh my God, I want to bring you home with me. I've only had a couple of occasions where I've wanted to take people home with me, and I really have felt that and cried when they've gone. So I have felt that. But I wouldn't be able to do my job if I did that every time. So I've had to build up some resilience and connection. I do have guidance. I do say to people, I don't do this on my own. You know, you think this is just me? No, I get lots of guidance to do what I do. But I do find that people come into my room filled with despair, and they really have no hope. But by the time they go, because I think I'll call the doctors, I'll get the crisis team, I'll do this. But usually by the time they go, they're smiling, and you think, how did that happen? But what I've done is I've given them hope. I've given them a lifeline that you can do this if you choose. And I'm not doing it for them. They're like on their knees and they've got nowhere to go. And I think if you find someone who's kind, who can hold you. I mean, years ago in therapy, you say you've got 6 sessions and then after that we can't see you anymore because they'll become dependent. I have never known anyone become dependent. You know, I actually say to people, I've seen people who are so depressed they can't speak. And I've said, look, you've had your 6 sessions at the doctor's surgery. I am going to hold you in this energy and you come to me as long as it takes for you to find the way out of it. And this is, as long as it will take, it will take. And you can actually see the relief of...
Yeah, they're not alone. Yes.
Yeah, they're not alone.
That feels right, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that feels right. So Reiki has encompassed for me the love and kindness that I was not allowed to share in my nursing and psychiatric days because people would become too dependent on you. You know, you've got to do this, that, and the other. And I found that the kindness, like I used to work in a day hospital, and on a Friday afternoon, I was a trained nurse, you know, whatever. The chap who was the hospital porter was very wonderfully gay. He was also, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. He was also a hairdresser, right? On a Friday afternoon, we take all of our clients, patients, day patients upstairs, and we do their hair, we do their nails, we make them look good for the weekend. And he was called Chris. He'd come and do their hair. We'd all laugh and we talk and we treat people as people. That did more good for them than any of the bloody therapy they did, you know, the group therapy. Hey, let's just nod at someone and go, yes, you haven't spoken for a while, you know, let's just see, you know, what is it you're trying to say, you know, whatever. And I was a bit different because people used to get well with me and I used to think, well, I'm not doing this, but I'm trying, that's what I have to do. You know, so I've learned for a long time about what I feel is real for people. And it's all about that care and love and understanding and following your intuition. We tend to not follow I wish I'd done that. Oh God, if I'd done that, you know, things would have been better. Just to go with your guidance, really, and have the courage to follow it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think what Reiki has done, which I'll go back to my earlier little question to myself, is when we were nurses, we could care for people. People used to love talking. They'd feel safe with us. That doesn't happen anymore. And you feel the opposite. And when people heal, it's because they feel safe, they feel trust, they know that they're in good hands. And unfortunately, people are bringing Reiki into hospitals, but actually nurses should be doing that.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have to be trained in Reiki to give that. They should be that person.
Yeah.
And I've taught lots of nurses Reiki, but we went through a disciplinary procedure, and I will back people up. I will write letters. I don't care who they are. And this nurse had her hands on someone's feet, and everyone accused her of giving Reiki when she shouldn't do, because it was against the ethos of, etc. And the poor client was very happy, the person, for someone to hold her feet. But people told on her and said she's doing something, all this sort of stuff. And I got her off. I said, don't you be so ridiculous. I do not, etc., what I could do. But there is this divide, and has been a divide between the connection and the care that you give people. And it's the care and the kindness that helps people, as well as the skills, that you have certain skills. But I think mostly when people feel cared for, listened to, they have a voice.
I love that.
That's what Reiki does.
I love the way you put things. It's so relatable. I could just talk and talk and talk, and I'd love to have you back again. I just feel like we've scratched the surface, and you've spoken so genuine, open, ballsy, and just do it.
Ballsy. I like that. Ballsy.
Just get on and do. And this humour side is important. I just like the style is very good. And I've had limited experience. I do Tai Chi, but and I'm deeply respectful of the work you do and the people that you must have helped over the years, Jill. I'd like to conclude. Anne, is there anything that you would like to add, or before I close?
Thank you. Ballsy, brave, amazing, brazen, and bold. You are awesome. all of these things. It's just
wow.
You're bringing through a lot of confidence and showing that it's not airy-fairy BS. This is actually a very real thing, and it's ancient, and it belongs to all of us. And that's what's so amazing is a lot of people that go, Reiki, just Totnes High Street BS, Glastonbury BS, all that stuff. But if we could finally get back to nature and who we truly are, I'm so grateful that Lyndon found you, and we were able to feature you here on this channel. Hopefully there'll be the right people that need to see it will see this and understand that the solutions are within us, and that we are all connected. We are all one.
We are.
Thing. It is not something distant. It's not something weird. It's not something just hippie. What it is it's nature, and it's natural. And you are a brilliant presenter of this. I love the fact that you're lighthearted about it. You're not so stone cold serious. There's not this ego, it's all about me thing. It's just really refreshing, and it's been wonderful having you. And
thank you. Can I just add that Dr. Usui, who brought Reiki through, it was in the 20s, believe it or not. At the bottom of his Usui memorial, it says, Reiki will heal the world.
Oh, yes, yay.
And that's like the mindfulness of spirituality is Reiki. It brings everything to a normal, doable place.
Doable. I like that.
Doable.
I like the fact as well that you're a trained nurse. Not that would, if you weren't,
no,
it would change.
I agree.
But I love that accent on the fact that it's. So in closing, I'd love to thank you again on behalf of Living Theosophy and U&D. This has been our wonderful guest tonight with my co-colleague Anne, who's here with us, Jill Sudbury, the one and only, the therapist at the Marlborough School of
Ballsy.
And the creator of the Fyfield Therapy Rooms at Goddess HQ. I'm going to come by for a cup of tea, Jill.
You're very welcome for a ballsy meeting with Jill Sudbury.
You need to put ballsy in your bio. It's true.
I love it. Very American.
It's Lyndon. It's actually very American.
Lovely to meet you both. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. Love and light.
Jill, thanks for your time.
You made it this far. This is the very end of the video. And if you are here all the way through to the end, perhaps you liked what you saw. If you would, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps get these teachings out to where they need to go. I love you. Thank you so much.